FM.
Good morning, I'm Atik Rumi bringing you the news on Gold FM. In your headlines, fuel shipment from India to arrive today. Commissioner General of Motor Traffic arrested. Bushehr nuclear power plant attacked for the third time. US has another 3,554 targets left to hit, says Trump. 10 US soldiers wounded in an attack on Saudi's Prince Sultan base.
The top story on Gold FM.
A critical shipment of 38,000 metric tons of fuel will arrive in Colombo today following high-level diplomatic interventions between New Delhi and Sri Lanka. The delivery, consisting of 20,000 tons of diesel and 18,000 tons of petrol, follows a telephone conversation on the 24th of March between Prime Minister Modi and President Anurukumara Dissanayake. Lanka IOC originally sourced supplies from the Middle East and Singapore, but contractors invoked force majeure due to vessel shortages and conflict-related disruptions. In response to an urgent request for rescue supplies, the Indian government utilized the Indian Oil Corporation to ensure energy continuity for the island nation. This intervention follows additional coordination between Foreign Ministers Dr. S. Jaishankar and Vijay Therath earlier this week. Meanwhile, fuel bowser owners confirmed the resumption of standard delivery operations starting today. This decision follows a commitment from the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation to increase intercity transport rates by 25%. Officials from the United Lanka Fuel Transport Bowser Owners Association and the Sri Lanka Petroleum Private Tanker Owners Association reached this agreement after discussions with corporation authorities yesterday. Shanta Silva, secretary of the Private Tanker Owners Group, stated that the new rates address long-standing financial concerns within the industry.
This is the local news on Gold FM.
The Department of Meteorology announced that several areas of the island are likely to experience high temperatures that may be felt by the human body today. According to the department, hot weather conditions are expected in the western, Sabaragamuam, southern, eastern, northern, north central and northwestern provinces, as well as in some parts of the Monaragala district. Meanwhile, Secretary to the Ministry of Health and Mass Media, Dr. Anil Jasinghe, while addressing a media briefing yesterday, urged the public to remain attentive to their health due to the prevailing hot conditions. In the interest of clarity, we refrained from dubbing his remarks.
අධික උෂ්ණත්වයට දීර්ඝකාලීනව ලක්වීම නිසා ඇතිවන්නට පුළුවන් විචලනයේ උෂ්ණතා ආබාධ මේ තත්ත්වයන්ගෙන් වැළකීම සඳහා අපි ගත යුතු යම් පියවරවල් තියෙනවා. පෙරවරු 10ත් හවස 3ත් අතර කාලය තුල හැකිතරම් හිරු එළියට නිරාවරණය නොවි ඉඳීම. මේක හැම විටම කරන්න පුළුවන් කාරණාවක් නෙවෙයි. බාහිර පරිසරයේ වැඩ කරනවා නම් හිස් වැසුම් පැලඳීම ඊටාම වැදගත් වෙනවා. අවු කණ්ණාඩි තියෙනවා නම් අවු කණ්ණාඩි පැලඳීමත් වැදගත් වෙනවා. Tamanට තිබහක් නොතිබුණා ජලය වරින් වර පානය කිරීම. පුළුවන් තරම් ලා පැහැති ඇඳුම් ඇඳීම, ඇඟට හිර වුණ ඇඳුම් නොපැලඳ සිටීම, හැකිතාක් දුරට විශේෂයෙන් ළමයි එළියේ ක්‍රීඩා කටයුතු වලින් පුළුවන් තරම් බැහැරව සිටීම.
The Criminal Investigation Department arrested the Commissioner General of the Department of Motor Traffic, Kamal Amarasinghe, in Colombo last evening. The police media unit disclosed that the arrest was based on an investigation conducted on vehicle registration irregularity. The initial investigations were conducted by the Valana Anti-Corruption Unit and later they were handed over to the CID. Amarasinghe is expected to be produced before the Mawatagama Pillasa Magistrates Court. Parliamentarian of the Samagi Jana Balawege, Mujibur Rahman, claims the current administration supports companies accused of importing low-quality coal. These remarks follow a statement from Minister Bimal Ratnayake regarding energy procurement. This is the statement of the minister, and in the interest of clarity, we refrained from dubbing his remarks.
දැන් ගොඩක් අය කතා කරනවා ගල් අඟුරු වංචාව. ගල් අඟුරු වලින් හදන්න පුළුවන් බල ශක්තිය අඩුයි කියන එක ඔප්පු කරලා තිබෙනවා ඒ පරීක්ෂණ වලින්. ඒ වෙනුවෙන් ඒ ආයතන දඩ ගෙවලා තිබෙනවා. දැන් අපි හිතමු මේක බාල ගල් අඟුරු නැත්තම් මේක හොඳ නැති ගල් අඟුරු කියලා අපිට කේවල් කිරීමේ ශක්තියක් තිබෙනවා. සමාගමේ වැරද්දක් දඩ ගෙවලා තිබෙනවා. ඒක ප්‍රශ්නේ තිබෙන්නේ මේ අසීමාන්තික දඩ නිසා හදිසියවත් මේ සමාගම අතිවොත් එහෙම මම බංකොලොත් මට කරන්න දෙයක් නැහැ කියේ. හැබැයි පිටිපස්සේ ගල් අඟුරු පො අපිට ගල් අඟුරු නැති වෙනවා.
Meanwhile, this was the response of the SJB parliamentarian.
ඒ මාෆියාවල් නැති කරන්න තමයි ජනාධිපතිවරයා විපක්ෂයේ ඉන්නකොට මේ ඇමතිවරු සියලු දෙනාම පොරොන්දු දුන්නේ. අදින දැන් ඒගොල්ලෝ කියනවා කොම්පැනි වලට දඩ ගහන්න එපා, කොම්පැනි වලට බලපෑම් කරන්න එපා. එහෙම දඩ ගහන්න ගියොත් එහෙම මේ කොම්පැනි වැහෙනවා. වැහුනොත් අපිට ගල් අඟුරු දෙන්න කවුරුත් නැහැ කියලා. දැන් ඒ තත්ත්වයටපත් වෙලා තිබෙනවා. මම දන්නේ නැහැ ඇමතිතුමා ඇයි මේ කොම්පැනිය වෙනුවෙන් පෙනී හිටින්නේ. දැන් කෙලින්ම කොම්පැනි කාර්යයන්ගේ ඔඩොක්කුවේ ඉන්නේ. නමුත් දැන් කුමාර ජයකොඩිගේ සිද්ධියේදී අල්ලස් දූෂණ කොමිසම කුමාර ජයකොඩිට එන්න කියන්නේ අල්ලස් කොමිසම. එයා නැතුව නඩුව දානවා මහාධිකරණයට. මේ මාලිමාවේ නොවන අයට වෙනම ක්‍රියාවලියක් තිබෙනවා අල්ලස්සා දූෂණ කොමිසමට එන්න කියලා පෙන්නනවා මාංචු දාන එක. සුදු පාට වෑන් එකකින් අරන් යන එක වීඩියෝ කරනවා. වෑන් එක යනකොට ඕගොල්ලෝ පිටිපස්සෙන් කැමරා එක උස්සගෙන දුවන එකක් පෙන්නනවා. නමුත් ඒ සීන් මොකවත් නැහැ කුමාර ජයකොඩි. ඇයි ඒ? එයා ආණ්ඩුවේ ඇමතිවරයෙක් හින්දා. ඉතින් අනුර කුමාර දිසානායක ජනාධිපතිවරයා මේ මඤ්ඤන්ද කියවන්නේ නීතිය හැම එකනටම සමානයි කියලා. මාලිමාවේ අය ඉන්නේ නීතියට උඩින්. දැන් ඒගොල්ලෝ අලුත් න්‍යාය තමයි චෝදනාව තිබුණාට වැඩක් නැහැ. උසාවියෙන් ඔප්පු වුණොත් තමයි හොරෙක් වෙන්නේ. නමුත් ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ නොවන අයට චෝදනා තිබුණත් හොරු, ගෑවුණත් හොරු, ළඟින් ගියත් හොරු, සුවද දැනුණත් හොරු. මේ හොඳයි කොණ්ඩේ බැඳපු චීන්නුන්. දවස් දෙකකට කලින් ඇමතුමා කිව්වා දවස් 3කට එක සැරයක් රෙදි හොදන්න කියලා. ඊළඟ දවසේ V8 එකේ ගිහලා බයිනවා. V8 එකේ ඩීසල් ලීටර එකකට යන්න පුළුවන් උපරිම කිලෝමීටර් 3ක් නැත්නම් 4යි.
Director General of Agriculture Dr. Tushar Wickramarachchi claims the country holds sufficient fertilizer stocks for all cultivation, including paddy. Authorities currently distribute supplies to agrarian service centres island-wide. Despite these assurances, farmers report a significant shortage of urea for the upcoming yellow season starting next month. The Director General urges careful management of resources due to the global crisis, while local growers insist that current supplies fail to meet their immediate needs.
Now for some news in brief.
The Colombo Chief Magistrate ordered a corruption case against former Tourism and Aviation Minister Prasanna Ranatunga to return to court on the 4th of August.
The business news on Gold FM.
The United States Treasury Department issued new general licenses to authorize critical mineral investment and operations in Venezuela. These licenses allow for the supply of specific items and services required for mining activities, alongside the negotiation of contingent contracts for new investments in the sector. The Treasury Department describes the move as a strategic effort to bring the Venezuelan economy back online. Officials state the policy aims to reorient international investment to benefit both American and Venezuelan interests. This shift marks a significant change in the economic relationship between Washington and Caracas, specifically targeting the extraction of essential raw materials.
International news on Gold FM.
War continues across the Middle East as Iranian authorities confirm a third strike on the Bushehr nuclear power plant. The Atomic Energy Organization of Iran warns that while the facility remains operational without technical disruption, any damage to the site risks a regional nuclear catastrophe. These reports coincide with deadly missile attacks in Kermanshah, where local officials say 13 people died, including women and children, following strikes on residential areas. Further reports from Isfahan and Khuzestan indicate that major steel factories and power infrastructure now sit among the targets. Iran's foreign minister, Syed Abbas Araghchi, claims these actions contradict recent American promises of a diplomatic pause and warns that Israel and the United States will pay a heavy price. In a significant escalation, foreign media reported that an Iranian missile and drone strike on a Saudi Arabian airbase left 10 American soldiers injured, with 2 in a very serious condition. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump declares that the war remains unfinished, stating that 3,554 targets still remain on the American list. However, his special envoy Steve Witkoff expresses hope for direct meetings with Iranian officials this week. Witkoff confirms that a 15-point peace deal currently sits with the Iranian government, and the United States now expects a formal response. Meanwhile, a ground invasion of Iran might be necessary to capture the nuclear power plants in the country. Further, Trump cannot declare war victory when the Strait of Hormuz is closed. These thoughts were shared by Ambassador John Bolton while speaking to Chamud Fernando during an exclusive interview at the Exchange of Hero News. Bolton, who served as the National Security Advisor of the first Trump administration between 2018 and 2019, said that the uranium enriched in Iranian nuclear power plants should not fall into the hands of terrorists.
Is boots on the ground outlandish thought or a real possibility?
Well, I can't speak for what Trump may try and do. I don't think there's a need to take Karg Island, the main Iranian lift facility, to move oil onto these tankers. I think you can block the Strait of Hormuz to make sure no Iranian oil leaves. There could well be a need for boots on the ground to secure the nuclear facilities, the key nuclear facilities at Natanz and Esfahan and Fordo, because the nuclear threat is the gravest, and we don't want that enriched uranium or centrifuges or other material or information relating to the nuclear program to fall into the wrong hands, into terrorist hands or into the hands of another rogue state that wants a nuclear weapon.
Bolton said he was surprised by the US president's decision to attack Iran for the purpose of regime change.
Were you in those conversations before the US launching an attack towards Iran? Were you even a part of those conversations?
In his first term, when I worked for him, he was against regime change in Iran. And I can't explain what changed his mind, but I hope he's thought through all the implications, all the questions that need to be answered to make this a successful operation.
When quizzed on a ceasefire deal between Iran and the US, this is what he had to say.
Is a deal likely, and or would Iran just keep going until all hostilities cease?
Well, I'd be very surprised if there's a ceasefire agreement anytime soon. I think the regime believes it simply has to survive before Trump's attention span wanders. And I think that's one reason why it's important that we're helping the opposition inside Iran. I don't detect any sign that we are. It would be a big mistake if we're not.
As far as an exit strategy is concerned, Ambassador Bolton believes that the Strait of Hormuz needs to be opened.
Ambassador Bolton, my final question for you. Do you actually think that there is an exit strategy from President Trump? Or is an exit strategy even possible the way things are going?
Well, he always has an exit strategy by simply declaring victory. I don't think he can do that with the Strait of Hormuz closed, but if it were open, I could see that. The strategy should have been thought out in advance. You don't think up your strategy on the 27th day of the war. That's clear. And if the objective was regime change, it should have been planned out thoroughly, because you don't want a wounded regime in Tehran that will simply rebuild back to the same level of threat that it was a month ago, which would mean this whole effort had been wasted. That would be a real tragedy.
The full interview with Ambassador Bolton is available in our Hero News International page and Hero News English Facebook page.
Entertainment news on Gold FM.
James Tolkien, best known for playing the stern Principal Strickland in the Back to the Future trilogy and Commander Stinger in Top Gun, died at the age of 94. Born on the 20th of June 1931 in Calumet, Michigan, Tolkien trained at the Actors Studio under Stella Adler and Lee Strasberg, going on to build a career spanning more than 5 decades in film and television. His news was announced by a family spokesperson as well as by Back to the Future writer-producer Bob Gale. He is survived by his wife Parmalee, whom he met on the set of an off-Broadway play in 1971.
Sports News on Gold FM.
The Schools Rugby Knockout 2026 reaches its semi-final stage in the weekend, with two highly anticipated clashes set to determine the finalists. Trinity College Kandy take on Wesley College Colombo today, while tomorrow's match pits Royal College Colombo against defending champions Isipathana College Colombo in what promises to be a thrilling conclusion to the knockout rounds. That's it for the news. I'm Atik Rumi. Have a great day.